What's going on YouTube? It's me, Jeffrey, and today we're doing another gaming-related creepypasta. And today we're talking about Sonic.exe. Now, here's how the story goes, the original story. The original Sonic.exe story centers around Tom, a young man who is a big fan of Sonic the Hedgehog, especially the older games. He claimed that he had not played any glitchy or hacked game before in his life, though he admitted that he didn't after an experience he had. He then decides to, recount his experience. One day he was playing Sonic Unleashed and then suddenly the doorbell rang, meaning he got something in the mail. Inside the mail was a CD and a note from his friend Kyle, who he hadn't seen or heard from in 2 weeks. The letter stated that Kyle told Tom to destroy the disc before it's too late and not to play the game, because if he did, it would be like some kind of unknown supernatural danger affecting him, and that Kyle couldn't do it because he was just not in time. Ignoring the warnings of Kyle, Tom decides to play the game and began to encounter odd, somewhat disturbing phenomena. Basically, he, got by install. It had a little exe file in the CD, hence the name Sonic.exe. So, it starts off with the title card. It looked normal until for a split second it turned different, featuring an evil-looking Sonic the Hedgehog with bloody eyes and glowing pupils, with a wild smile from the presence of towards a file select screen. And instead of Sega 1991, the logo was Sega 666. The sky was dark and the ocean was blood red, like crimson. When he got to the file select screen, similar to the one in Sonic the Hedgehog 3, with a red background and chilling music playing, there was 3 characters that he could play as: Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik. He picked the only character available, which was Tails, and he began the first stage, titled Hill Act 1. Tom continued to find more evidence as there was something wrong with this game. Namely, the copious amounts of dead animals that showed up after. It was like a barren space, like a flat floor. When the dead animals showed up, it was just gruesome. Like he could recall seeing one of the animals, like for example, a squirrel was hanging in a tree with its guts hanging out, or a penguin with its eyes ripped out. All buried in gruesome details. Eventually, he encountered Sonic at the end of the level, who was standing completely still with his eyes closed. When Tails attempted to get to his attention during a cutscene by tapping him on the shoulder, Sonic's eyes opened, identical to the Sonic on the title screen, before cutting to black with a message saying, "Hello, do you want to play with me?" In the next level, called Hide and Seek, Tom noticed that Sonic was chasing Tails because Tails, before the chase, was looking at him, telling him to run away. The latter flying despite an ability to do so without a super form, before disappearing, teleporting in front of the fox and killing him and cutting to black. Shocked, Tom reads the next message saying, "You're too slow. Want to try again?" After playing as Knuckles, then he decides to play as Knuckles because, Tails was dead. In the Knuckles level called You Can't Run, it was sort of like Hill Act 1, except instead of the green hill background, it had it was basically like a metal floor background. Well, metal floor terrain, in the background was like red clouds. So as he was playing as Knuckles, he eventually runs into the demonic Sonic, and there's a text saying, "Found you." And as every single time that Tom playing as Knuckles tried to get towards the evil Sonic, the evil Sonic would just teleport, which would cause Knuckles to get frustrated and losing a supposed boss battle with Sonic. Tom then decided to take a break after Knuckles got killed, because basically the text after Knuckles got killed said, "So many souls to play with so little time. Do you agree?" However, when Tom decided to take a nap, his nap was really horrifying. His rest was plagued by nightmares featuring the corrupted Tails and Knuckles and the demonic Sonic, with him waking in the cold sweat. Returning to the game, Tom decided to play as the only character that was playable left, Robotnik. And, of course, this level didn't have a name. It was just 3 dots, like ellipses. in this level, he had to guide Robotnik down a long flight of black and white checkered stairs. And at the end of the level, Sonic teleported in front of Robotnik before the screen cut to red static. Then a hyper realistic image of Sonic appeared on the screen with a horrific looking grin with the words, "I am God." After this, the game ended. Tom then turned around to find, to his utter horror, a bloodied Sonic the Hedgehog plushie on his bed. Wow. So that's the story of Sonic.exe. Now, granted aside, this is one of those first video game creepypastas I've ever heard of. Well, technically, it's the second Sonic creepypasta story I've heard of, because technically the first Sonic related creepypasta was actually about the Tails doll. Now, the plausibility of this game's existence, it's actually pretty possible, because I've seen a fan who read this original Sonic.exe story make a playable game, and basically it, as a way of showing the events of the story it's possible that the story could be real as long as there's no demonic plushie. Hell, speaking of a Sonic.exe plushie, you could actually find Sonic.exe plushies on Amazon if you wanted to make like a film of this story and use the Sonic.exe plushie from Amazon as, the cliffhanger. And it's pretty ambiguous on what happened to Tom at the end. We don't know what happened to him, but I think that's something that will happen in a future story that I'll tell. Now, it is possible to, if you want to make your own game, it's very possible, because I've made a few computer-related games using Construct before. I don't consider myself to be like a, professional game development creator or something like that. I've made fan games and stuff, but I don't consider myself to be the expert. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this creepypasta, and what will you change to make it better? This is Jeffrey Sambursky, signing out.